So let's talk about structural directives. What does structural directive does and why do we need them? They help in adding or removing the HTML elements from the DOM. So here we'll be studying about two structural directives. First is ngIf and the second is ngFor. So as every programming language have the if statement, the if else statement, and the for loop or while loop or basically some loop. Similarly, the Angular provides that power of programming language using these structural directives. The ngIf performs the if else statement on the HTML page and the ngFor performs the for loop on the HTML page. So let's write some code to better understand what are these structural directives and how can we use ngIf and ngFor. So let's open our code. Let's close our parent component and parent HTML page for now because we'll need only one component. Now let's try to make a if else statement inside only our components HTML. So let's add a division and then to add this directive we use star, then the name of the directive ngIf or ngFor. Right now we need ngIf and equals to, and here we give the code. So we can say ngIf, if this is equals to true, then let's write something inside this division. Let's say h4. This div is active. Let's save this and get back to our page. As the page refreshes, we see this text which says this div is active. Now let's try to turn this ngIf equals to true to false. Save our code and go back to our page and we see the text disappeared. Let's try to inspect it at the same time. Let's inspect this element here. We don't have any div tag inside of our body, but although in the HTML page we have written that div tag. So when we put ngIf equals to false, that code does not go to the front end because Angular hides them completely. We can do the same division turning off and on using CSS, but there, if you inspect, you'll be able to see that no, the division code is still there. It's just that it's hidden. But using these directives, we can completely remove them from going onto the HTML page, although we have all the code present inside our HTML file. Let's close this. So this is how we use the ngIf straightforward to activate or deactivate a particular HTML element. Let's try to uh, use the if else condition here. So, and also we can interpolate this or use a property binding here to replace this false, and we can replace it with some property. So let's create a property which is of type bool and it's called if else and it is of type boolean, which for now is true. So this if else variable or the property name, which is a boolean type, it equals to true now, and we'll replace that. We'll replace this with our false statement here. Now Let's try to add the else statement too. So to add the else statement, first we need to use a colon here to specify the statement is over. Then we use the then keyword, or sorry, then we use the else keyword, because if then else keyword, then we can use the template reference variable here. So whatever name we will give, that we can use as a template reference variable, and we will not need to go to our property or our uh, class to specify the variable name. We can just use the template reference variable here. So we can call it else, and the variable name may be else block. So if else this property is true, then only this division will be active. Else it will look for the else block variable template reference variable in the whole HTML page and will activate it accordingly. How can we use and create a new division? We can use the ng template here. So it is just like a division. It's just that we can use the template reference variable inside it. So ngIf ng template, and then calling our variable else block using hashtag. And inside this, we can again have an h4 template which says this ng template div is active. Now let's see what happens in our page. Our page says this div is active, which is our if statement div. Now let's try to switch or toggle this if else property to false. Let's save this. And when we go back to our page, we say this ng template div is active, which means our if else is working. Earlier, this division was active. Now this ng template division is active. This is how we can use if else in our code. We can also replace it, as it does not look very similar to what the if else in other programming languages look, where one is division, other one is ng template. So we can try using a particular way like this. We can make a division, then we can call our ngIf directive, and this is equals to that property which is if else, and then we can use a then and a else keyword. So after then, we'll write our first variable template reference variable, which means maybe a then block, else the second variable, the else block. Let's delete this part. We have written our JavaScript code inside this. Now this division ends here, and now we can use two ng template, one for each. One is for this then block template reference variable, and the other one for the else block. So whatever this division will be there. So whatever is active on the basis of this property, the particular template will be active. So it looks much more better and much more understandable for third person. Now we can drop in our HTML tags inside here. We can say this is the then block, and the other one is the else block. Let's save this and go back to our code. Because this if else property is false, we are saying this is the else block. Because this ng template is active, the prior one is false. So this is how we can use the ngIf directive. Similarly, let's try to create an ngFor directive. for ngFor, first we need a property in our class over which we will iterate over. So basically for loop needs something to iterate or to cover the values one by one. That's why we need a list there. So let's create a list of colors and then we'll try to change the color of text according to that list. Let's try to create a property which is of name colors, and this is equals to an array which contains different name of colors, maybe red, blue, green, yellow. This is just a simple list, and when we'll iterate over this, means we'll use the for loop or the ngFor directive. The first value will be red, then the blue, then the green, then the yellow. And according to that, we want to style our text to change its color. So we'll also use the ngStyle tag. Let's create a new element, and it can be of a new division maybe. And here we can apply this ngFor directive, and this is equals to, please see this how we write the for loop. So first we say let to call a variable name. Now the name of the variable may be block or text color. Text color is variable name because it starts with let, then a text color. Then we use of to specify from where we are getting these variable, and we are getting from colors list. So let text color of colors will loop over all the colors in the colors list, and every time the value which is saved in the array will be the value of this text color variable. Let's close this division, and inside this we can have an h4 element, and we can use the ngStyle here to style our text. So this ngStyle property binding is equals to an object where we can give color is equals to this variable, because this will save the string and will replace the string here, and it will give the color to the text. And here we can say whatever text we want to be printed. We can say for loop in ng, in short for Angular. Let's save this and go back to our page. And as you can see, we have text displayed in 4 different colors: red, blue, green, and yellow, the exact order we gave inside our list. So ngStyle was just to style the color or to change the color of the text using the ngStyle property binded to an object which is equals to color, then the variable name of the color, where we use the ngFor, which actually created these 4 divisions because it ran for 4 times. If we inspect these elements, we can see each one is inside a division. So we created only one division and used ngFor over it. But in the terminal, we can see there are 4 divisions here, each one for each color. You can see this here, style is equals to color red, where the lower one says style equals to color blue. So these 4 divisions were created by Angular while we only write one in our HTML file. So this is how we use ngFor directive, and we can generate, add more HTML elements, and we need to write them only once. So let's go back to our slides now. You can think of ngIf as an example shown in the slide. We can create a division and we can create a method which checks if a person has logged in or not. With the logged in method, we can specify that, okay, if the person has logged in, then show his name after hi. Or we can use an ng template to deal with condition where the person has not logged in, and there we ask him to log in. So you can think of various cases where you'll need to use ngIf and ngFor, and that's why they are very important to learn.